Good morning, Madam Chair and Assembly members. Thank you for taking the time to have this information hearing and for listening to frontline workers. My name is Lisa Palombi, and I've been serving the City of Los Angeles as a public librarian for over 20 years. I serve my colleagues by being the president of the Librarians Guild, which is Local 2626 of the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, otherwise known as AFSCME. Even before the pandemic began, our libraries were understaffed due to a very slow recovery from the recession of 2009. We had not yet restored nor filled all of the positions lost during that economic downturn when the pandemic hit. Now, thankfully, the city did not lay us off, but many public librarians in our system and across the country left public service for fear of being exposed to a life-threatening virus. They retired, they found other work they could do remotely, or they moved home to care for family members. But really, the virus was just one more thing to be afraid of. Before the pandemic, we were receiving active shooter training, Narcan training, and de-escalation training. There was no avoiding the fact that public facilities like libraries, parks, and transit systems were turning into de facto social service agencies and shelters by providing restrooms, water fountains, respite from the weather, and places to simply sit for our unhoused neighbors. Public libraries and librarians were used to filling in the gaps. Our summer reading programs help fill the gap between academic school years. Our adult literacy centers and career online high schools fill the gap left by our public education system and California higher education systems. These skills are in our lifelong learning wheelhouse. But filling the gap in the social service safety net for people who have no permanent housing and people who have had all of their identification stolen from them, people who have nowhere to wash themselves nor their clothing, and people who suffer from the psychological trauma of being unsheltered, that's not in our wheelhouse. When public libraries are understaffed, the remaining employees have to pick up the workload of our missing coworkers just to keep the doors open, which we are required to do when we function as cooling and severe weather centers. And it's simple math. When your vacancy rate is 25%, but your operations remain at 100% capacity, your employees are working more, they're working faster, and they're working harder. And when your vacancy rate is 25% over a sustained period of time, such as years, the overall effect on the workforce is physical and mental burnout, and even worse, compassion fatigue. Public librarianship is a mission-driven field, and traditionally, librarians who choose to enter the public sector do so with the understanding that the rewards of a long career of service are to retire with dignity by way of a livable pension and affordable health care. But every year, our unions have to fend off attacks on those public service pensions and benefits. And it's not lost on the newest generation of public librarians that our profession is under attack. They see the book banning attempts, the punitive budget reductions, the drag queen protests, the political firings, and the assaults and even murders of library staff. Now lately, the Los Angeles Public Library has not been able to fill the positions that used to be so dearly sought after. Offers made are turned down at an alarming rate, and the candidates tell us the processing time to get through civil service hiring is too long. The starting salaries are too low. The early career compensated time off, such as sick time and vacation time, falls too short for a healthy work-life balance. And the allure of a good pension and ongoing health care in the future is not enough to attract employees who have learned to live bountifully in the present. Thank you so much for your time this morning, and thank you for your work on these issues.